is a portfolio? A portfolio from that perspective is a showcase of all your learnings, accomplishments, and your personality, more than hard facts which are already available on LinkedIn, and probably also the resume or the document that you're sending across. Portfolio needs to talk about you as a person, you as a personality. The person who's looking at your portfolio should have a visualization in their head telling them that this might be the kind of person that you're talking to, and might or might not be a good fit for the organization, right? So that is the perspective that gets drawn when people see your portfolio, right? So your learnings, accomplishments need to be there, so the hard facts need to be there. But then there are two aspects of portfolio as well. One, when you're actually sending it across, just putting it as a document or a link, or applying for a job. And the second, when actually which actually gets you an opportunity to talk more about yourself. So when you're sending it across, it is more about hard facts, like we were talking about earlier, saying these are the things that my portfolio should contain. But now when you're presenting a portfolio to to someone, that is a really big opportunity for you, where you get your opportunity to fill in the gaps between the hard facts, tell your story to the recruiter, right? And that is where the game change happens. Yeah, so we were talking about the flow of information. It starts with a basic hello, but there you cannot take your stance of telling them all the little nitty gritty and details about yourself. You have to make them move towards the thinking process, saying they have if the kind of person that they're looking for, you are the right pick, based on a few keywords that the job description has, or a few experiences that you have gathered which you feel would be beneficial for the organization that you're trying to apply for, and tons of these kind of things. So as we progress in the conversation, we'll also see a few examples where we want to talk about what did you like and what did you not like about those things. So when we're talking about your story, I'm sure the pieces of information is and the flow of information that we were talking about definitely goes in there without any second thought to it. But then let's also see what it communicates to the people who are actually looking at it. When you tell your story, then your soft skills come in. When you're talking about it, your background comes in. What kind of family and upbringing you've come from, what kind of exposure you've got, what kind of creative abilities you have. When you're talking about it, your personality traits also kind of is being um, you know uh, thrown out. What kind of commitment would you be able to give? Are you a person who will be easily able to prioritize what he is to do in life, in company, in projects, or would you have second thoughts, or are you a kind of person who needs to be told what to do? So are you an execute guy, or are you a thinker? Are you a person who can think of himself, who can orchestrate a team, who can take other people along with them? All of these things are also evaluated while we're talking about a portfolio, right? Decisiveness. So this is also a very interesting aspect that comes in when you, based on which project did you choose to put in your portfolio. This also comes in very handy. I'll tell you a little incident that happened with me. I was actually trying to apply for a job, and to my mind, I had this project that I had done with one of the brand companies, and it was a very complex project. We'd worked on it, like, say, for an year, and we've been dwelling upon it, and that gave me the utmost experience and the maximum complexity to solve. But then, and that had become my hero project, saying wherever whoever talks to me about design, I'll talk to them about all of those things that we had done there, all the research work, all the decision making process, and all the thinking, crossbreeding, all of that I'll be talking about. But then suddenly one day I was speaking to one of the prospect companies who was interested in hiring, and I started talking about it, and that is when I realized that the person was not interested in my conversation, in my case study at all. And I was wondering why would that be, and that is when I realized that it was a B2B company, as a business to business company, and they were not interested in any kind of complexities that you would have solved in uh, B2C world or in any other world. They would be interested in their domain, in their area of expertise only. So then I had to find that kind of a project so that their curiosity scares could be satisfied. So then, thinking about what do you want to talk about also is very important when we are talking about portfolios. So decisiveness also kind of comes in from there, saying if you know what the company is all about, if you know the person who's going to go through your profile, and so then decide every portfolio is going to a different person and to a different company, be it yours every time, but everybody is looking at it from a very different perspective. So when that happens, then you'll have to make little tweaks here and there in the portfolio so that the person who is actually consuming it really makes a difference there. So that also kind of is an important factor while you're talking about things that your portfolio wants to say about. So that, and then again, we talk about our story, saying this is when I started thinking about design, and this is what got me into it. This is the first course that I thought of doing. This is the first job experience that gave me a chance, all of that. But what are we actually talking about there? So your demographics definitely say a hello, saying whenever you introduce yourself to anybody, that is definitely there. The uniqueness factor, why are you the best person for this job? Say for example, if I am applying for a company who's say fintech, right? So then my uniqueness factor would become saying I have worked on fintech before. I have had experience in service industry where I've created a lot of um, projects, or I've worked on a lot of projects which has come from the banking segment or a BFSI segment. So those kind of uniqueness factors need to come out so that people look at them first and then say, okay, this looks like a good look. Let me go into the document. Let me read it first and let me see what this guy has got. Right? So that educational milestones goes unsaid. Inspiration to be a designer. Why did you choose to be a designer? What is your motivation for being a designer? Now, we are creative people and we do not go by the rules of life, if I can say that. So then what was that breakthrough point where you understood that I wanted to go into this? What made you a good designer? Was there really challenging something that you saw? Or so so whenever I'm asked this question, this is how I respond to it. I had actually started my journey being a developer, and was enjoying what I was learning, and there was learning every day. So it was like really, really fun. But when it actually came to building a portal or some kind of thing, that is when it struck me that whatever I was developing did not make sense. It had to go into a lot of thinking process, and back then nobody thought of an experience as such. But when you were actually developing, just bringing in data and showcasing on screen kind of a job, then it didn't give me much satisfaction, and then I knew that I could do better than this, and that is when I started getting my hands dirty. Back then UX was not even a term that was coined in the industry. So that is what drove me towards design. And till date, I've been enjoying thinking about it ahead of time rather than actually executing it. So, these kind of stories of inspiration, or, one odd situation where you felt that design was really, really important in everybody's life, that inspiration also kind of goes and seeps in saying, how much are you motivated to be a good designer? Right. So inspiration to be a designer came from there. Professional milestones, of course, you're going to share them, but try and stitch it in a story saying why you left this job and why you left that job. I'll give you one more example here. So I had applied for this company, which was into service design. And before than that, I was actually working in product companies. So one product company, one vertical, another product company, another vertical. And I was enjoying the taste of knowing different kind of industries. So I worked in education, I worked in healthcare, I worked in retail, but then I suddenly realized that I was actually enjoying to solve problems of these domains. So then I need something which it comes and sits in one umbrella. So that is why I moved myself towards a service design company where I would get a taste of everything. Probably not too much in depth, but I would get a taste of every other industry that exists out there, and will be solving problems for them, will be creating designs for them. So that became my intent or expectation while I was getting into a new company. So these kind of intent is also important. Why do you want to get into that company? Why not somewhere else? Or are you just applying for the sake of applying? Do you really want to be there? All of these are questions that you would want to ask yourself before getting into any serious commitment. That and the future vision. What do you really want to do? Right? What is your vision? What do you see? How do you see yourself, say, 5 years or 10 years down the line? What excites? Do you do you feel like traveling and solving problems of the world? Do you feel like getting into one space and making that as an smooth as an experience? What should be your contribution in the world around? What design problem are you interested in solving? Think about those. These kind of conversations help in getting your thoughts channelized, as well as your enhances your personality as a designer. So the other person, when they're talking to you, then they understand that you have thought about it. You know where you want to be, you know what you want to do. That gives them immense confidence to understand that this is a milestone of your life. That also adds really, really great value when you're telling your story to people, right? So that, then the extra bits. Apart from professional milestones, I have done these things. These are my co-curricular activities. These are my side hustles. These are my side projects. Feel free to add as much as you can there. So, do they count? Sometimes definitely yes. Sometimes might or might not be, depending on what kind of extra bits are we taking them to. Right. So if you are a Bharatanatyam dancer along with being a designer, does that really help me hire you? Probably not. But then it just definitely gives me an idea saying you are dynamic. So you think you like things that keep moving. So those kind of judgments, if I might say, or those kind of visualization of a person, I might say, kind of helps in understanding the other person better. And at the end of the day, what are these people looking for? These interviews are merely for two reasons. One, they they want to make sure that the person who's coming into the organization is well equipped with all the knowledge and expertise to handle the job well. Two, they are the kind of people whom you would love to work with, who can be great team members, and being them being around you actually keeps you motivated. These are the only two aspects that any company would see it from the perspective of. So whatever helps in building those perspectives, well, that is what we are here to put in the portfolio.